everybody, so we're back talking some more of the Lord of the Rings of Power. We've reached the finale for Season 1. It's definitely been an interesting experience watching Season 1 of the series unfold. It didn't start out very good, I'm not gonna lie, it started out pretty slow, but as the intrigue built, as things were revealed, the secrets, it got a little bit better in my opinion. So I was curious where all these stories would end by the season's conclusion with so many different characters having to wrap up everything, and the fact that Amazon did not send out the finale ahead of time. All the other episodes I had early, but this one we didn't get early. We're watching this live with everybody else. So I figured there was going to be some pretty big shocking reveals in the finale, or ones that are just bad. You never really know, it could be on either spectrum. With this being the finale for Season 1, we knew we were going to get a lot of the big reveals, like who is Sauron, who is the Stranger. All of them ended up being pretty easily predictable. I think I predicted both of these many weeks ago at this point, or at least every single week. But nevertheless, for the most part, I still think regardless of those reveals being obvious, the episode itself was solid and sets up some intriguing plot threads for a Season 2. We knew going into this those three mystics were going to try and find the Stranger in the woods, and they found him pretty quickly, but they had this whole fake reveal that he was actually Lord Sauron, which was probably the most obvious misdirect. I mean, it was very clear to me he was not Sauron. It was like, I get they're trying to do the whole big surprise reveal in the beginning of the episode, but we know that's not the case. Regardless of how much they try to sway you with the mystics trying to explain to the Stranger everything in great detail about his purpose as Sauron, we pan over to Galadriel and Halbrand, since Galadriel's taking him to be hailed by the elves, while Elrond and Celebrimbor decide what to do since they don't have much time left. Sadly, when it comes to these scenes, I really wish that we had more scenes between Elrond and Galadriel. We have not had many scenes of them together in this series at all, since they both had separate storylines far away from one another, but it was refreshing to see them reunite and have a few more scenes. So hopefully, Season 2, they get a few more scenes together. And speaking of Halbrand, I get the elves have some great healing methods, but he's up and about pretty much almost immediately, which is one of the many red flags for Halbrand. The moment he gets there, he heals almost instantaneously. We see him go and talk to Celebrimbor, and he's acting a little bit too inquisitive about all the different materials, the gemstones, and giving them suggestions on what to do with them, like perhaps forge some rings. It is Rings of Power after all. I've been predicting pretty much all season long that Halbrand has been Sauron in disguise, but he really ramps up the smugness the moment he gets here. I mean, there's been hints of it being potentially Sauron the entire series, but here, this episode alone, it was immediate to me that he is Sauron when he's talking about gifts, and Galadriel's finally growing suspicious of him after all this time. The writers have tried their best to kind of keep this mystery all season long of which one of these characters is Sauron, potentially Stranger, potentially Halbrand. They try their best to keep that going for as long as they can in the episode. It was pretty obvious at this point to me that Halbrand was Sauron, but we still play into the possibility that this guy, this Stranger, is Sauron when the Harfoot are trying their best to save the Stranger from these three mystics. All canon aside to the source material, this entire section of this episode, it was pretty fun seeing the mystics and the Stranger face off with one another and the magic they're throwing against one another. Sure, it was kind of obvious to me that this Stranger was good and he was trying to be a good person, especially after Nori gives him that pep talk about being good, and we get to see him save the day. He uses lots of magic. It's basically revealed that he is a wizard, and we don't get to say his name in this, but I'm like 99% sure that's supposed to be Gandalf. I don't know the whole canon behind if Gandalf would even be around in the Second Age at this point. Regardless, it was very obvious to me that's supposed to be Gandalf between the moss, and he tells Nori to follow her nose later. Those are just the clear signs that this is supposed to be Gandalf. I'm a bit confused by the mystics being revealed as Nazgul since they are female, so if someone wants to explain that part to me in the comments section, feel free. Even though it was a quick scene, I felt bad for laughing when we cut back to Celebrimbor in the laboratory trying to craft items, and it looks like a mad scientist experiment gone wrong with smoke clouds everywhere. But we finally get the confrontation between Galadriel and Halbrand when it comes to who exactly is this guy. All this entire backstory has been fabricated to this point, and to the shock of pretty much nobody, Halbrand has been Sauron in disguise this entire time, manipulating everything behind the scenes. I guess instead of Anatar, he's being Halbrand in this show, so that's just what we're gonna go with. But we get the master reveal of all the plans, and everything has been put into motion, and most of this stuff is Galadriel's fault, to be honest. Sauron's a pretty evil character, that's very obvious, but even for him, I thought it was kind of messed up that he's using Galadriel's memories of her dead brother Finrod to try and help manipulate her to coming to the dark side, if you will. Be bad with me. Of course, Galadriel, we know, does not accept that offer, and then Halbrand disappears. We don't see him until the very end of the episode in front of Mount Doom. Like, at this point, it's too late. The rings are being forged. We finally get the rings at the end of the episode. And the other thing that I thought was kind of emotional, even though I wasn't a huge fan of the Harfoot Stranger storyline as the season progressed, it was emotional for me seeing this heartfelt goodbye as the Stranger and Nori go on this journey for the next season, I'm assuming. But it was the goodbye with Nori and the rest of the Harfoot that really pulled on my heartstrings. And I don't know where we're going to go with these characters in the second season. I also thought it was kind of weird that we kind of just ignore several storylines in this. We didn't get anything with Arondir and Bronwyn or Theo. We didn't get anything with Adar. We didn't get anything with Durin or the fact there's a Balrog down there. We kind of just brushed that aside. Season 2, I guess. As a conclusion for Season 1, the reveals themselves, they were extremely obvious. I know there's going to be a lot of people mad about the reveals themselves because of it being Gandalf. The Sauron was kind of obvious. I mean, let's be honest. But I don't know. It's going to be interesting to talk about in the comment section down below. But now you've heard my thoughts on the finale for The Lord of the Rings of Power. Make sure you share your thoughts down below. What did you think of this finale? Did you like the finale? Did you not like the finale? How are you feeling about all of the big reveals in the finale and where we're going to be setting things up for Season 2? Are you excited for Season 2? Are you not excited for Season 2? But thank you guys as always for checking out the reviews. I always have been really appreciative of everyone checking out my Rings of Power thoughts because, let's be honest, the comment section every single week has not been great. I'm sure it won't be great this week either, but I am thankful for all of the discussions because it has been a lot of fun discussing it with you guys in the comment section. Either way, like I said, make sure you share your thoughts down below, and also make sure you leave a like on the video, and also subscribe to the channel so I always update reviews, reactions, unboxings, and more. Next time, see you guys later.